friends, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to my channel. Hey friends, and welcome back to my channel and welcome to another video. I currently find the world a little bit of a devastating, heavy place to be in, and when things are unsteady and make me feel scared and lonely, I like to take the reins into my own hands and escape. Not like literally run away from my life, but instead I just turn into books. I just say I'm off and I just escape into these. At some point comes the line which, like, after that you can't do much, and the best thing to do is to take care of yourself. And sometimes the best way to take care of yourself is to like just leave your thoughts somewhere else and recharge. And for me, recharging is reading books. And I have a TBR the length of myself and probably more, but I kind of tend to prioritize some books over some other books. On my TBR I have kind of like different categories. I have like the priority, and then the like this would be fun, and then or like this sounds interesting right now but I might drop this from my TBR at some point. And today I'm gonna talk about my priority TBR. So these are books that I'm definitely gonna read ASAP. That doesn't mean that I won't read other books like before some of these, but just like I'm prioritizing these books over other books. But yeah, without further ado, let's get started. I just realized that I've been talking about TBR without even acknowledging that some of you might not understand what that means. TBR means to be read. I'm sure most of you know what that means, but in case you don't, that's it. And even though this is a TBR video, I want to start with the book I'm reading right now because I'm literally just like 30 pages in. I just started this yesterday and I'm excited about it, so I want to show it. The book I'm reading right now is Magnus and the Ship of the Dead, which is a book by Rick Riordan. I love Rick Riordan, and this is the third book in the Magnus Chase trilogy. And because this is the last book in this trilogy, I'm not gonna tell what's gonna happen in this one, but I'm gonna tell you a little bit about Magnus Chase. You who have read Percy Jackson, maybe the other books in the like Camp Half-Blood world, you're like, Chase? Wait, hold on, but Annabeth's last name is Chase. You're correct, because Magnus Chase is Annabeth's cousin. These books still happen in the same world, even though this is not a Greek Roman mythology series. Magnus is actually the son of a Norse god. I love some Scandinavian representation, even though, yes, I know Finland is not officially part of Scandinavia, but our culture is literally so close that I tell people that I'm Scandinavian. It's close enough, but still, I'm not Norwegian. So this has been a really fun journey, kind of more into cultures I actually do know something about. I used to be way more into Norse mythology when I was like 9, like before I got into Greek mythology, because then I got into Greek mythology and that just took over like completely. But yeah, Magnus Chase is a son of a Norse god, and just like Percy Jackson, gets into crazy adventures. It is a great series. I'm really excited, and I'm really excited to see how it ends. These books are next on my TBR because I got these from the library, so I have to like return these to the library within a month or something, so you know, I'm reading real fast. And also the Magnus Chase book is from the library as well. This is kind of what I meant, that some books might just make themselves more of a priority because of XYZ reasons, and these just went to like the top of my TBR just because they're from the library, but like I have to get these back to the library pretty soon, so these are the next ones I'm gonna read. The first one is called The Cemetery Boys. I have it in Finnish, so Hautausmaanpojat, which literally is cemetery boys, well, cemeteries boys, the boys of the cemetery. This is a book by Aidan Thomas, and I'm gonna read that synopsis on Goodreads because I, for the life of me, cannot translate all of this right now. Before I start reading this, I do not speak Spanish, and some of these words and names are very like Spanish and I might butcher them, so I'm very sorry. Yadriel has summoned a ghost, and now he can't get rid of him. When his traditional Latinx family has problems accepting his gender, Yadriel becomes determined to prove himself a real brujo. With the help of his cousin and best friend Maritza, he performs the ritual himself, and then sets out to find the ghost of his murdered cousin and set it free. However, the ghost he summons is actually Julian Diaz, the school's resident bad boy, and Julian is not about to go quietly into death. He is determined to find out what happened and tie up some loose ends before he leaves. Left with no choice, Yadriel agrees to help Julian so that they can both get what they want. But the longer Yadriel spends with Julian, the less he wants to let him leave. Is this a standalone book or is this a book in a series? I am not quite sure, but I'm very excited about it. It looks freaking sick and it has like Percy Jackson-ish vibes. Like, I love books in this like category. The next book is called Meet Cute Diary and it's by Emery Lee. I'm like matching it right now. I just thought it looked cute, and then I read the synopsis and I was like, okay, that sounds silly and sweet, so I'm just gonna get it. Noah Ramirez thinks he's an expert on romance. He has to be for his popular blog, The Meet Cute Diary, a perfect collection of trans meet cutes and happily ever afters. There's just one problem. All the stories are fake. What started as idealized fantasies of a trans boy afraid to step out of the closet has grown into a beacon of hope for trans readers across the globe. When a troll exposes the Meet Cute Diary as fiction, Noah's world unravels. The only way to save the diary is to convince his fans that the stories are true, but how can he spin fiction into fact without any proof? Then Drew walks into Noah's life and the pieces fall into place. Drew is willing to fake date Noah in order to save the diary. But as Noah's feelings for Drew transcend their staged romance, Noah quickly realizes that dating in real life isn't quite the same as finding love on the page. The Meet Cute Diary and Noah's heart hanging in the balance, Noah will have to choose between following his own expertise or discovering that some of the most romantic endings are the ones that go off script. Sounds very sweet to me. Am I in focus? Hello? Am I in focus? I think so. Oh, this next book is very interesting, and there's actually a little story behind this. I saw one of the graphic novels in this like same series. It was definitely by the same people, and I saw this at the library when I went there and picked up the other books, and I was like, oh my god, I recognize the style. It's not the exact one I wanted to almost buy, but it looks interesting. And it is called Queer: A Graphic History by Meg John Barker and Jules Shield. I hope I'm pronouncing those right. But it is basically a graphic novel about like queer history. The back of it says, activist academic Meg John Barker and cartoonist Jules Shield illuminate the histories of queer thought and LGBTQ+ action in this groundbreaking book. A kaleidoscope of characters from the diverse worlds of pop culture, film, activism, and academia guide us on a journey through the ideas, people, and events that have shaped queer theory. From identity politics and gender roles to privilege and exclusion, Queer explores how we came to view sex, gender, and sexuality in the ways that we do, and how culture can shift our perspective of what's normal. I feel like we can never learn enough, and I definitely can like boost the knowledge of queer history that I have, so that sounds great to me. I very rarely buy books, but I bought 2 books in New York when I was there. One of them I already had read, so I'm not going to read it right now. The other book, I had seen this, I think in February when I was in New York, or maybe just earlier on my last visit, and then at the very end of it, I saw it in a bookstore and I was like, it sounds so me. It is called The Year I Stopped Trying by Katie Heaney. I gotta say, I don't love this cover. It is very bright, but the book sounds great. It is basically a book about this character called Mary who is having an existential crisis, and she is like a good student, a good girl, and she like does everything always like perfectly. She's a perfectionist, and then she forgets one assignment and nothing happens. No one comes after her. The world doesn't end, and that like starts like this huge like apparently like huge thought process for her. Why am I trying so hard? What if I stop? And that sounds like something I could have read and loved when I was in high school, because all through my school years I was always the person who was like doing every single extra assignment and task, and I could have just sometimes taken it a bit more loosely. I could have been kinder and easier on myself, because I ended up burning myself out. So this like just speaks to me, and I really hope it's good. I'm not necessarily in a hurry to read this because I literally own this now, but I want to read it soon because I bought it because it looks like a nice summer book. I used to be someone who only read physical books like this, but then my boyfriend has a tablet, like an iPad, and he reads on that quite a lot. And last year he let me try it, and I think I read a whole book on that. After I realized I do like reading on a tablet, he was very kind and gave me one as a holiday gift. And since then I have read a couple of books on this, and it is so handy. I really enjoy it, and it fits in my backpack when I'm traveling so super well. And in the beginning of this month I bought Melanie Murphy's Glass Houses on it. I followed Melanie Murphy for like 4 years and I love her. Glass Houses is actually her third book. It is a story about two sisters, and it's like about like family, like healing journey between family members, I think. To be honest, I don't know much about it, but it has gotten really good reviews, and I'm very excited about Melanie writing, so I'm very excited to read this. The other book I have on the tablet is called Bad Best Friend by... who is this by? Bad Best Friend by Rachel Vale. And it is a book that my boyfriend recommended to me. He has read so many books and like from so many genres, and he like gives me book recommendations all the time, which I love. If you have book recommendations, my friends, give them to me because I will always add book to my TBR. But yeah, it is apparently a great book for reading slumps, and I'm not in one anymore, but I would like to keep it this way. So every once in a while I like to read a book that is not so long, because sometimes that kills my reading mood. But yeah, apparently it's about like kids in school. Maybe I should look it up. Let's look it up. Nikki Ames can't wait to start 8th grade, that all-important year before high school. She and her best friend Ava have shared so many plans for the coming year. But then the unthinkable happens. At gym class pair-up, Ava chooses someone else to be her partner. Nikki is devastated. It's clear that Ava wants to be part of the popular group, leaving Nikki behind. Nikki has to decide who her real friends should be, where her real interests lie. Meanwhile, life at home is complicated. Nikki's 9-year-old brother Danny continues to act out more and more publicly. Their mother refuses to admit that Danny is somewhere on the autism spectrum, but it's clear he needs help. Nikki doesn't want to be like her brother, to be labeled as different. She just wants to be popular. Is she a bad sister and a bad best friend? So yeah, that's what that book is about. I realized that the last 4 books on my TBR, I actually don't know much about the plots of those, so I'm just gonna pull them up on Goodreads and read you the synopsises. But yeah, the first one is called The Cruel Prince. I know that this has been a very popular book online, and I actually started it when I was in New York, but I only got like 40 pages in. I love the vibe. The 40 pages I read, like, I definitely want to read this book, and because I started it, I want to like read it soon-ish. It is so cool. It's like a very, very high fantasy. I'm just gonna read you the synopsis, but like, it is such a cool book. Jude was 7 when her parents were murdered, and she and her 2 sisters were stolen away to live in the treacherous High Court of Fairy. 10 years later, Jude wants nothing more than to belong there, despite her mortality. But many of the Fae despise humans, especially Prince Carden, the youngest and wickedest son of the High King. To win a place at the court, she must defy him and face the consequences. As Jude becomes more deeply embroiled in palace intrigues and deceptions, she discovers her own capacity for trickery and bloodshed. But as betrayal threatens to drown the courts of Fairy in violence, Jude will need to risk her life in a dangerous alliance to save her sisters and Fairy itself. Again, I'm wishing, hoping, and praying I pronounced words that I am not so familiar with right. That sounds like so many of the books I read when I was like 14. It sounds freaking amazing, but it doesn't sound like a book for 13-year-olds. Like, this sounds dangerous. I remember that the first chapter, that is about Jude's family dying. Like, you are there when they get murdered. The next one is a really, really, really popular book. Everyone's reading it. It is called The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, and I've been recommended to read it by like multiple people, probably like 5 people. But yeah, it has a beautiful cover, usually of like a woman in a green dress. Aging and reclusive Hollywood movie icon Evelyn Hugo is finally ready to tell the truth about her glamorous and scandalous life. But when she chooses unknown magazine reporter Monique Grant for the job, no one is more astounded than Monique herself. Why her? Why now? Monique is not exactly on top of the world. Her husband has left her and her professional life is going nowhere. Regardless of why Evelyn has selected her to write her biography, Monique is determined to use this opportunity to jumpstart her career. Summoned to Evelyn's luxurious apartment, Monique listens in fascination as the actress tells her story. From making her way to Los Angeles in the 1950s to her decision to leave show business in the 80s, and of course the 7 husbands along the way, Evelyn unspools a tale of ruthless ambition, unexpected friendship, and great forbidden love. Monique begins to feel a very real connection to the legendary star, but as Evelyn's story near its conclusion, it becomes clear that her life intersects with Monique's own in tragic and irreversible ways. I'm sorry, English is not my first language. I did not know this much about this book, but I trust the people who have recommended it, and apparently it ends really sadly. But I'm like, how sad can an end of a book be that everyone cries? That is definitely on my TBR. The second to last book is another recommendation by my boyfriend because, like I said, he's a very experienced reader, has read so many different kinds of books, and it is called The God of Small Things, and it is by Arundhati Roy. I already tried to read the synopsis here, but I literally butchered it so bad. Go and check it out. I'm gonna link every single book down below. You can find The God of Small Things there and read it. But it is about these twins in India in 1969, and they're like family. But I honestly don't know much about it. But apparently I think I should go into it kind of like not knowing much. That's a feeling I have. And then the last book, this was a recommendation first by someone I follow online and who follows me. Could I say internet friend? And then one of my friends who reads a lot and has a Bookstagram account said that this is a great book and she really liked it. It is called The House in the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune. First of all, I gotta say the cover of this is so cute. I saw this in the bookstore and I almost bought it because it was so pretty. This is what Goodreads says about it. Linus Baker leads a quiet, solitary life. At 40, he lives in a tiny house with a devious cat and his old records. As a caseworker at the department in charge of magical youth, he spends his days overseeing the well-being of children in government-sanctioned orphanages. When Linus is unexpectedly summoned by extremely upper management, he's given a curious and highly classified assignment. Travel to Marizia's Island Orphanage, where 6 dangerous children reside. A gnome, a sprite, a wyvern, an unidentifiable green blob, a were-Pomeranian, and the Antichrist. Linus must set aside his fears and determine whether or not they're likely to bring about the end of the days. But the caretaker is the charming and enigmatic Arthur Parnassus, who will do anything to keep his ward safe. As Arthur and Linus grow closer, long-held secrets are exposed and Linus must make a choice. Destroy a home or watch the world burn. You know, the usual choices that we all have to make. Again, very magical. I have definitely like a very kind of magical theme in all these books, but I'm not complaining. Like I said, I love to escape this world, and I love when the protagonist of a book can just save the world. Whatever is happening, you can do something about it. Unlike here sometimes. But yeah. Those are all my TBR books. If you want me to update you when I have read these or when I have read most of these, let me know. I could make a video or I could just update you guys on Instagram. That's where I'm probably the most active. I hope this took you out of your current worries and thoughts and you got some books to add to your TBR. If you have any recommendations to me, please leave them in the comments. Hope you have a good day. See you soon. Bye!